second.
And we are now live.
We are now live. Come on.
Give us a few seconds and it'll finally reach the destination page.
Damn cat.
Here we go.
Need a like
Right.
need a theme song while we're waiting for this.
Little
Like
Andy
Jeopardy.
Griffith in the background.
Like Jeopardy.
Oh my God, Facebook's gonna be wear me out with this crap, with this code every time I switch back and forth.
Hey, I know that we're getting all this loaded. I just got where I'm going, so I'm going to put you on a brief mute. So I
Okay.
will, that way I can get settled and I'll jump on with the camera.
All right.
Hey, yeah, if you both
Just a second.
When he froze. So how's the baby, Nate?
She's awesome. I haven't seen her for a couple days, so I'm anxious to get home and, wake up with her tomorrow morning.
Yeah, bro. How old is she? Like
Yeah.
she's newborn,
Three
right?
and a half.
Three and a half. That's right.
3.5.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. No, she's but she's our like one and only, right? So
You know, Nate. You know what I say? Everybody's like, you need to have two. Keep each other company. And I'm like, no, because I only have enough love for one, so I want to give it all one. He's gonna get all my love. I don't have enough to spread around.
exactly. She's got all my love. That is for sure. That's for sure.
There's not enough.
I got her on skis for the first time last week.
How'd that go?
So she went skiing for the first time, and it's just all about keeping it fun when they're 3, right? So
Yeah, the attention span's really 10 minutes, 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like they don't really.
Yeah.
You just think, like you said, you got to keep them interested in it, man. You know.
Exactly. So that was the most important part. Just keep her interested.
That's cool,
Get her
dude.
interested.
I had somebody see my son last night that hasn't seen my son in probably 2 or 3 years. And they had no idea that he was my son. They were like, "That's your boy?" Like, dude, he's as tall as me, man. He's like,
yeah, man.
You know, he's at that point in his life where he's trying to test dad now. So, because he's getting a little bit of meat on him. So he wants to he thinks dad's a pushover and he could push dad around. And then dad had to give him a little bit of because, we're getting my football up under him. And dude, we have vinyl floor. It's not it's like life proof, the slat, like a hardwood, but it's like vinyl. And we both had socks on. He was trying to push me, and he could, dude. I put my ass down, dude. I started pushing.
You say this is some old man strength.
That's exactly right. You will never. Even if you are battered and dad, you ain't never going to be battered and dad.
This is a strength of experience.
That's right, man.
Right on. That's great to hear, man. And
I'm glad you got on here, Nate.
Yeah, me too, man. It's good to see you.
Absolutely.
Good to be on. Good to talk to y'all again.
Absolutely. Listen, I ain't gonna lie. When I come home, I didn't want to share your shine with anybody because I didn't want anybody thinking it was better than mine.
I can't even remember what I gave you, but I got more, man. I'll send you some more other stuff.
You gave me that peanut butter was going quick.
Yeah, for sure. No, I still a lot of people ask me for that. Peanut
butter and jellies.
Yeah, man. I don't even make it anymore. I just have those bottles left over.
Really?
Yeah, man. But I have 20 cases sitting in my basement.
Damn. Bro, we got to become better friends. I'll help you get rid of those.
Yeah, man. I got a whole basement full of booze.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah. You got to like that.
Yeah. I mean, when we closed the distillery down, right? We closed the distillery down. We took our Warrior Whiskey brand. We brought it to a co-packer. Co-packer makes it and does all that. But, I basically went to the feds and said, hey, I'm closing this down. And I still got all this product here. What do I do with it? And they said that you just got to dump it out. So they said, send us pictures of you dumping out all the booze. And, you'd be off the hook for the taxes, etc. So I dumped out as much as my heart would let me. Yeah. So I dumped out a lot.
Well, listen, I would have dumped out one case.
I kept a lot too, which I don't intend to sell. I just give it away, so it's not like I'm getting taxed on it anyways.
Oh yeah, because you're not selling, you're just giving it away, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, actually, a lot of that stuff had the tax paid on it when it went into the bottle, anyways. So,
Oh yeah, so it can't get taxed twice then, right?
yeah, I can't get taxed twice.
I got you.
But anyways, they told me to dump it all. I sold a lot of it. I sold the stuff that was in the barrel to a guy in Kentucky. That was, did like barreled, and he did brands basically. He bought barrels from different distilleries and blended his own stuff. But I sold him 180 barrels, which is everything that I made when I had the distillery. And then all I had left over was a couple vats of booze and several, 1,000 bottles full.
God damn, bro.
Yeah. So, I mean,
you
it's
get that link, Roger?
Shit, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
Welcome
But
back.
be happy to
you get that link, Roger?
give me your address.
Yeah.
I'll send you some.
Yeah, Donna. Sorry about that.
Sorry, I didn't see you
My
drop. I
dog's
was
got a router on.
I'll
I
shoot
was
you a
in
text,
the
brother.
other looking at
Yeah,
the
do
other
that.
screen, sharing all the links. Did you share it throughout?
Well, my dog knocked my or pulled the router off and pulled the cord out of it. Big one chasing the little one.
Did,
The little one
did
chasing
you
the
get
big
the
one,
link
something
though?
like that. Yes, I've done it already.
To all the groups.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think I got all of them.
Make sure you got the School of Shine and all those.
Yeah, I believe so.
School of Shine.
Yeah, some of those I can't post in. What's up, everybody?
Hola.
Welcome back. Finally got all the links shared out. Sorry, it takes a little bit.
I like how when somebody loses connection, it's like a Chinese fire drill.
Yeah, it all everything switches around. Yeah, let's see.
What were we saying the other day? Hollywood Squares.
Yeah.
Hollywood
Yeah.
Squares. That sounds like it.
Yeah. Or the Brady Bunch.
No place I'd rather be than stuck underneath RuPaul and someone else.
Yeah.
So, Jason, what are you drinking on?
Nothing yet, but I will. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, you gotta have some hair of the dog, man.
I got this. I'm getting it.
So you didn't drink much last night or anything, did you? Oh, you can't hear me.
I bet he did. He said he did. He said he got tore up.
Yeah.
He was up till 2:30.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. They had a watch party, so I'm imagining he probably started drinking before and probably after.
I'd like to make it to some of these watch parties. Buddy of mine, Bruiser, who's on the show. I would have loved to go on to his. But
Yeah, it would have been a lot of fun. Bruce is a good guy.
He's only a 2-hour ride from me, so he's the only. I think he's the only local Kentucky. Yeah, he's the only one from Kentucky, to be honest.
No.
Oh wait, no.
Jason Wade, Harrell.
Yeah, that's right. Jason Wade. That girl.
There's a
I think
gal
it was
from
Katy.
Winchester that was on it.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. She was the
What was
sheep
her
farmer.
name?
The sheep farmer.
Yeah, she was
Oh.
cool. She was interesting.
Yeah.
This right here is my favorite so far.
What is it?
Strawberries and cream
Strawberry and cream.
that I made.
Nice.
How shelf stable is that?
I don't know. Fuck, dude. Like I said, it don't last very long.
As
This
As long
year,
as it doesn't matter.
Are you using real cream or are you using like coffee cremora type stuff?
so I could do either one with this. So I could do a regular powdered coffee creamer, which is and then you get all the little fucking chunks, and it's like,
little flakes.
And then I could use like the regular creamer, but there's a labs place that I can get. I think it might have been Nate that was telling me about it or something.
Yeah, there's 2 places in the country that make a shelf stable cream that you can add to your product and basically make yourself like a cream liqueur.
Is
So
it
they've already done all the
non-dairy?
work. What's that?
Is it
It's called
non-dairy?
It's called Creamy Creations.
Yep.
Yeah.
Write it down.
So I
Yeah,
wonder
if
if
you
it's
look that up-
non-dairy or what.
No, I think it's dairy based. But they,
What if it was a
they mix it up
non-dairy
with
creamer?
alcohol in such a way that it doesn't, curdle the milk,
Right.
right?
Awesome.
So I don't really know the process, but you can buy it by the you can buy it like as much as a tote at a time.
Right. Well, that's awesome because a lot of people making the creams, have the issue with they want to use the dairy based, creamer, but at the same time, it creates shelf life issues and refrigeration issues and things like that. So, if they could come up with something that does have that good flavor of a real cream, but be stable, that would be really, really awesome.
I mean,
A
I,
lot
I think it's more shelf stable. I don't think it's completely self stable.
Right,
I mean, it probably still has
right.
shelf life, but it gets the distiller past the point of having to experiment themselves on how to get the cream to that point.
Right, and the issue lies a lot with the liquor stores. They don't want to have a liquor that they got to keep in a cooler. It's
Absolutely.
It's a lot more expensive for them, and they'd rather just have it on a shelf, than have to keep it in a cooler and go.
Well,
all
like
that
Old Smoky and Sugarland's got they got cream liqueurs or sipping
Bro.
creams on the shelf.
right. I think they're using non-dairy creamers in theirs.
That shit
like,
is disgusting, dude. I don't care what they.
Yeah,
I went there, and when I was there, I was like, I'm going to check out these at Gatlinburg, right? Because I've never been there. So these guys go home, and I'm like checking it out. I go there, and the first thing I buy was orange creamsicle from Sugarland Shine because I wanted to compare what they make compared to what I make. And I'm going to tell you this right now. If they would drink mine, there would be no fucking way in hell that they would ever put that garbage that they make out on the shelves, dude, because it ain't no way. Dude, I took one drink, put the lid on it, and you know where it is? It's still in my refrigerator right now, untouched. That's how bad it is.
I like the orange creamsicle. Doug Taylor's got a really good orange creamsicle. Jello shots.
Okay.
Yay, she's here.
Hey, there she is.
Hey, Katy, welcome.
Is that
Zachary Fox, don't believe anything Daniel says. I agree.
Hey, listen, I have to believe it. Daniel's a good friend of mine, so I have to believe it. He hasn't led me in the wrong direction yet.
Give him time.
That's cool. I'm hoping he does because he's coming with me. That's for sure.
If you're gonna believe anything he says, ask his wife first.
Yeah.
Just
Or
kidding.
Bean. Ask Bean or his wife.
Or Bean, yeah. Bean will know. Or Bean, yeah.
I love that dude. He was the first person that after everything was done, when I went back to the hotel, him and his wife were outside drinking. They were the only two out. And when they were the first people to know anything about me. And dude, his wife fucking squeezed me. She hugged me. She was crying her fucking eyes out. She was like bawling. And I'm like, what's wrong? She's like, I'm so proud of you. I'm like, you don't even know me.
That's awesome.
And me and Daniel's been friends ever since.
I guess we'll start the show off the right way.
Yeah, let's do
water.
Right.
Katie looks like she's dying to.
Where's your water?
Yeah, she was waiting.
Yeah, that drive was rough.
She come ready today. Nate, you get a
I guess
pass.
I'm the only one not drinking. Yeah, I'm not
I wasn't there.
Driving. Yeah, we don't want to encourage that.
I got some Canadian whiskey today.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
that's what they were
Canadian
drinking last
blend,
night. Boy, you're a soldier, Katy. Canadian whiskey, goddamn.
Short story. I actually have to take my final tomorrow, but I have been in a Canadian whiskey certification class,
damn.
so I have all of that.
Oh, nice.
To
Oh.
taste. Yeah, it's been super fun. Oh,
Where do you find?
Yeah.
What's your head, girl?
Watch your head.
Too much Canadian whiskey already. If it was American,
I forgot I was sitting in a bunk bed. Oh my goodness. Anyway, that's so on brand for me, so we're just gonna keep moving forward.
All right.
I moved another shot after that. That was bad.
Yeah.
Let's hear a little bit about you, your background, how you got into making whiskey, liquor, and what you've done so far.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah,
you.
do Nate.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, let's see here. Where do I begin?
Beginning.
The beginning. Well, let's see here. I was working in medical device, selling knees and hips, and not doing really well at it. I didn't like it very well.
Hell, one of your knees probably went in me.
Yeah,
I had
yeah,
3D
exactly.
replacements.
That
It
didn't
was
sound right.
the kind of job where I'm like in the
Oh,
operating
yeah.
room watching these surgeries with the surgeons. So
Yeah.
I did that for a number of years and had moderate success with it, but didn't really enjoy my life at all. And I quit that abruptly in like 2011, and I didn't have a plan at all on what to do. I became a bartender, and I became a yoga teacher, and I became a local fix-it guy at our outdoor store because I have been trained as a tailor. Like when I was in, I guess you probably heard this on the show, but I was a Navy SEAL, and
Right.
one thing you might not know about Navy SEALs is they send you to like just about every little school you can think about. So, parachute repair school, rigger school, um, survival school, every kind of school you can imagine. They send you to do as many of those as possible. Small engine repair, everything. So I got a lot of skills from that, and one of them was tailoring. And so I was doing these 3 jobs, trying to figure out what to do with my life. Tried a couple of other small businesses. I started an apiary where I had about 40 beehives.
Yeah.
Cool.
And that was right around the time that Minnesota, the state that I was living at the time, changed the law to allow craft distilleries to exist. So prior to like 2012, there was only one distillery in Minnesota, and that was it's Phillips Distilling, or what is it? Well, I'm drawing a blank on the name of it, but it's a huge distillery in Princeton, Minnesota, and has been there since Prohibition, right? But they had successfully lobbied to keep everybody else out of business through a huge permitting cost that Minnesota had, and they lowered that cost in 2012 to about $1,000, thus opening the business to people like me and anybody else. I wrote a business plan for a distillery. I did an apprenticeship at the Quincy Street Distillery in Chicago for a few months under Danny McGuire, whose father was actually a Navy SEAL, and allowed me to get that internship through just my connections in the Navy SEALs. And then nobody would buy my business plan to do a distillery in Minnesota, right? For almost a year. I ended up going to Steamboat, Colorado on my honeymoon. And I happened to know a couple of doctors in Steamboat, and I pitched the distillery idea to them. And within about 6 months, we had funded the distillery, which I wasn't able to do in like a year and a half of pitching a plan in Minnesota. So
Wow.
that's how I opened the distillery in Colorado, which was a fantastic, fun endeavor. I learned so much about distilling and about running business. And ultimately, we closed that in 2022 and just went with our One Warrior whiskey brand, which gets made at another distillery in Colorado now. So that's a
Cool.
short version of a long story.
And can you order your whiskey online?
Yeah, if you go to warrior-whiskey.com, you can see a little tidbit of our story. You can see some of the organizations that we've donated to. The whole premise of Warrior Whiskey is to give back to veterans. So we give back somewhere between 5 and 8% of all profits to veteran charities, vetted veteran charities. We've given somewhere in the realm of about $350,000 in charitable contributions in the last 5 or so years. And
That's awesome.
yeah, and I sell 4 different products on there. I sell the main Warrior Whiskey brand. I sell a barreled aged version, or a barrel strength version rather, at 117 proof.
How many years is it barrel aged?
4 years.
Okay.
And it's not aged very. It's not. It's not. It's not like it's aged very long. But we
4
finished it in a
years is
rum
good.
cask.
4 years is good. There's like whiskeys only have to be like 2. So
Yeah.
4 is,
I mean, you can over oak something, and you can over age a whiskey as well. It did win a double gold at the San Francisco.
53 gallon barrels.
These are all 53 gallon barrels.
Yeah. You're not going to over oak that in 4 years.
So Yeah, we basically take to make the Warrior whiskey. It's a pretty simple process. It's made from MGP. We take their high rye, 95% rye, and their 45% wheated bourbon. We split it 50-50, and we put it in a rum cask that we get from Jamaica, like a really funky rum cask.
Right.
Let it sit there for about 9 months, and then we bottle it. So yeah, I mean it's a pretty simple process. I always thought that I would make my own whiskey at the distillery and then eventually convert our Warrior whiskey brand to using that juice, but it worked so well and it won so many awards that why fuck up something good, right? Why change something that works?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
that's Warrior whiskey. That was our best selling product, but it. And also I have a lot of passion around that one. But we also made like 20 other products, and Jason's had an opportunity to try some of them. And I was telling him earlier that I still have a whole bunch of this booze sitting in my basement. Peanut butter whiskey.
Better friends.
Yeah, I mean, we made limoncello with whiskey. We made orangecello with whiskey. We made rum that I won double gold on in San Francisco. We made gin I won double gold on in San Francisco. One of those cellos won a gold. So yeah, I learned a lot about making booze, owning the distillery, but I'm not sure it helped me so much on Master Distiller.
I was gonna say, and that was a challenge in all itself. I mean, pastries. I mean, I've seen it done, but I've never seen it come out good. So I mean, I think you did. I think
You didn't have our
good.
stuff.
I mean,
Oh.
kudos to all three of y'all.
Yes.
Y'all did great.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm happy to say.
He knows what's up right here. This,
I mean,
when it comes to fermenting shit like that, this girl right here.
Oh,
like I was super impressed because like her shit worked all the way off, man. And I was like, I even asked her, I'm like, what are you putting in there? And she's like, enzymes, but she wouldn't tell me what kind.
Yeah, she won the first proof off, didn't she?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The ABV, the ABV contest.
Yeah, she did.
So are you going to tell us what yeast you use or any secrets there, Katy?
So for that yeast, so turbo yeast is known to distill or to ferment quickly. But obviously pros and cons to using turbo yeast because it is going fast. And depending on what you're fermenting, sometimes you get off flavors that gas off that you may not want to pull in your still. Right. It's usually known for like being a little more sulfuric. And within the beer side of the world that I've worked on, we really jumped into making hard seltzers. It's an easy moneymaker. We are in a big tourist town, so it was like a no-brainer for us. But you run into the same thing: champagne yeast, turbo yeast, and seltzer yeast. What's going to give the best flavor? What's going to not have as much off flavor to it? And obviously, making beer versus making distillation, you don't really get the chance to fix that mistake. So seltzer yeast basically does the same thing as turbo yeast does, but it has a higher attenuation, has a lot less off flavors, and also can handle a lot more stress in a quick amount of time. And so for me, immediately, the only thing that we had known was bring sugar, bring yeast. And I wanted to see how it did in a still. So, I mean, it really helped me out. But I will say that's the one thing I felt the most confident about off the bat was that, you know, it may not have made the highest alcohol, but I definitely knew it was going to finish off. So
Nate, what did you use in your mash? I mean, I know you used Tickle's Moss pecan cake.
That's what I tasted the most.
Yeah, for sure. Which I think I immediately regretted after like looking inside of it and like balls of butter in there and things like that. So
it tasted good. I'll say that.
Also, I don't think I didn't watch enough of the show to realize that that he was the real antagonist, like in the show, right? I didn't.
Yes, he is.
Kind of clueless in a lot of ways. So I should have known better. But I used basically. I used rum yeast. My the whole premise of my of doing it was to do kind of a like a ginger snap rum based liqueur, and I think my whole mindset was already on like the second round before even getting through the first round. So I I'm just thinking back on how I could have done things differently if I were to do it again. And knowing the show better would have been a good one. But yeah, I used rum yeast.
Mom's cake? Like not to use Tickle's mom's cake?
Yeah, not to use Tickle's mom's cake, and I think maybe not to try and produce so much booze like on the first run, right? I really didn't need to produce that much. I mean, I ran that thing like I ran my still at the distillery, which is like, we ran it down to almost nothing, particularly when we're using rum yeast, because we want a lot of those congeners, back in for in the tail, on a lot of those tails, because it'll add a lot of flavor in the second run. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if you were to take all those jars in the first run and do a second run, probably would have cleaned up really, really nice.
Right.
But
your jar was fantastic. The only thing that you docked on was your ABV for the proofing. I mean, it tasted so good.
Another one too, where reading the eyes, right? The frog eyes. Wow, that's a new one, huh?
Now that is 2 weeks in a row that proof cost somebody, and it's
easy to do.
Yeah, it is.
I think I knew I was in trouble when I walked in there and everybody was in overalls and no shirt.
Yeah.
Wait, Katy had a shirt on.
I had my wife beater on, bro.
That I remember. That I do remember. So, what would you change if you had the second chance?
Myself?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I had a really good time. I think I would change my interview, right? I would, and not that I would want to think about it anymore, necessarily, but I'm just kind of, my personality isn't really great for interviewing on the spot, right? I
you're doing
like to
good
think
now.
about my answers.
Yeah, I'm saying you're doing good now.
Yeah, I thought you did fine then and now.
I know what he's talking about. The way
put a couple lights up. Put a couple lights up and a couple cameras. It's different.
Yeah,
I can't stand to hear my voice or see myself online. So I totally get it.
I think it's how they went about getting his last interview, and because they didn't do it in that direct order. Like they should have did our interviews.
Nate, do you want to talk about this though? Because this is totally your call to have this conversation.
Yeah, I don't care about this. But I think they're right. I mean, they didn't do any of my interviewing until I knew I had lost. Right. And so I walked in the interviewing room, they're trying to ask me the pre-show questions, but I'd already done the show.
Oh, really?
Right. So that was kind of the hiccup that I think that they made, and they just ran out of time. They filming a dozen shows in a weekend. They got through these two guys' interviews, and I mean, yeah, there was
a miscommunication with production, so we didn't know what was happening until he was in his interview, and I think that was a hiccup for sure on the production side. I don't think it was intentional, but it's unfortunate because I can't imagine how you felt, and I'm really sorry that's how that rolled.
Yeah, that's okay. I appreciate you saying that. I mean, I think it just kind of caught me off guard that they wanted to do film it as if it hadn't happened already.
I mean,
I will say none of that part aired. They edited that stuff out. So you just for transparency, no one would have known that happened. How do you not?
Yeah, I'm sure. I really don't have any problem with however it comes out, however it shakes out. I mean, I talked to my wife a little bit about wonder how they're going to present me. But the truth of the matter is that
they didn't dog anybody. They didn't dog nobody. They didn't make.
I wouldn't think they would. It wouldn't make sense for them to do anything like that.
No. There was a lot they didn't show. There was some cool shit that they didn't show.
Yeah,
sorry,
just get on the show, you're a winner. Like we've thought before, there's 16,000 applicants. Just getting on the show, it makes you a winner. Just getting through the interviews and all the process, just the decision making. I mean, you won the lottery just getting on there. So
yeah, it was a lot of fun, and they take care of you, and it's
Okay, Karen has a question for you, Nate.
This question, Can you see it?
Nate,
what's the question? I can't see it. No.
Okay, Karen's
Okay, it
asking,
says,
how can you control ABV consistency with all those jars you put out? I mean, why did the show say jar 10 would have been really good? Actually, I think they said 5.
Well, yeah, I think because you have your 4 shots and your heads, your hearts, and your tails, and it all basically goes in a linear fashion throughout those jars. But it tends to taper off quickly, right? And so like you might have all of your alcohol in those first 5 jars, right? And then it just starts to taper off really, really rapidly. So they're absolutely right. The jar probably was in those first 5, and I think I picked number 12. And it's really how the still works. I mean, all stills work differently, and I just calculated it the wrong way.
And also, you didn't just use jar 12. You used all the different jars to blend to make one jar, right?
I can't recall.
Okay.
I can't recall.
Typically some will, but that's where you also get weird, because the further out where Nate was is basically what happened. Nate was too far into his tails. Right. So you if you blend earlier on, but that's where Nate's flavor was so fantastic. Right. And that's sometimes a giveaway and sometimes not. Like Nate, I mean, honestly, I would have drank that straight, no proofing.
I think the other thing is that those guys are used to drinking really high proof all the time.
Yeah.
Right. And so like it would have been a wiser choice strategically to go with the higher proof, just because these guys, their taste buds are used to 120 proof.
Right.
I can't.
I think when they mentioned jar 5, I think they should have said, if you'd have poured a little bit more, more of jar 5 into that jar and brought the proof up along with the, the good tail flavor, that it would have, it would have behooved you. It would have brought the proof up to where they like it, plus carry that flavor over, which is what you were wanting to carry forward,
Yeah.
Everybody's palates are different. I mean, I can't drink anything under 80 proof. You hand me some 70 proof, I spit it out. I mean, it's got to be 120 to 100. Or 90.
Here's the thing too that I think people forget. It
depends on what it is.
Nate and I have a lot of formal training, and that sometimes helps in these scenarios and sometimes doesn't. So we're both walking in with no instrument training on the sense of eyes. So we already had a little bit of a disadvantage in that factor of, and not to be an excuse, but like we're already out of our element with hoping that we pull off a still. Like Nate had a system going that was fantastic, but you have to remember that like the two of us, I can't read frog eyes to save my life. So that's a whole other component of being on this show, is that you immediately are tossed in the wolves in a situation where you may or may not have the exposure to just do this job correctly. And I think considering Nate did a great job.
Still distillation. It's harder to still on a small still than a large system. And doing it on a small scale like that, where you're only dealing with like 5 or so gallons of a booze at the most, is way more difficult than 150 gallons.
Yeah, that's what I keep telling people in the groups. Once you
your
learn
margin of error is so much greater.
Yeah, you have to use small jars in your cuts. Don't use big quart jars. You got pints, half pints. It is its own art distilling on a small scale like that.
Scale down. That's what that show taught me for sure.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you're saying. I went from a 13 gallon to a 20. It took me a minute to get used to it. I mean, it was like a battle, but I got that bitch tamed down. I mean, I know I can pretty much guess where my cuts are going to be. Yeah. I don't have a thermometer on it. I do it all old school by the touch.
Mm-hmm.
The way I learned to read my beads was every jar I took off, I'd shake it, and then I'd guess at what my beads were, and then I'd drop a hydrometer in. So I knew how to watch the beads. That's the best way to learn.
That's what I tell a lot of the beginners and stuff when they ask, try doing it both ways. Give it the shake test and look at it and guess, and then drop your hydrometer in there and see what you got, and start practicing, learning to be able to operate without your instruments. And the same thing with your mash, taste it, feel how sticky it is before you get your starting gravity, and do the same, taste the bitterness when you think you're ready. And that way you can, guess and then check with your hydrometer, and eventually you'll dial yourself in pretty close. But doing proof, proofing the alcohol when it's high proof, like 130 plus proof is simple. Yeah, it's very simple. Once it gets to like 100 and less, it's not just a simple countdown anymore. You got to look at bridging. You got to look at frog eye size, like Nate was talking about. It's a lot more complicated when it gets to lower proof like that. So it's not quite as easy as everybody thinks.
So I have a friend that taught me another way to read instead of shaking it. So like you take your jar, if you have clear. So when you take your jar and you look just like you're looking on your hydrometer where it bends up, you're supposed to read where it bends. You look at your jar and you'll have that going on in your jar. So the thicker the band, the better, the higher the proof is going to be. So when you're looking here and you see that going up the side of that jar, you'll see that little, like on top. I can see it here now, already starting. And I showed Katy how to read.
Too.
Interesting. So it has more surface tension.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And check this out. This was like, I'm getting goosebumps. This is like the coolest shit that happened to me while I was on the show is when we had to run it that second time, I filled up, was it 4 jars? Yeah. It was
around there. Yeah. We started dunking them in the water to see what was floating.
And I put them in the fucking water because we weren't allowed to use any tools. Okay. So I put them in the water clearly to keep them cool. But science kicked in and I was blown away because all 4 of them were filled to the same top. 2 of them sank and 2 of them floated. So that tells me the ones on the bottom have more water in them. That's going to be a lower proof. The ones that are floating are going to be a higher proof because alcohol is lighter than water. It's going to be on the top.
Hydrometers.
Bro, so that's exactly what I did. I created my own hydrometer. So I took one off the bottom, one off the top, boom, boom. And then I ran it under the steel to get the sweet water. I shook it. I think I might have tasted it once or twice. And I'm like, I thought I was at like 90.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't see him just having 1 or 2 sips.
Bro, I was like, ask her, man. I was like, boom, I'm ready.
We had a lot of free time. So Jason and I just started being like, what can we play around with? Like, what do we don't have much going on back here, but like, let's put our brains together and figure out how we can use this space, especially if either of us ever, like if any of us ever go back. I think being on the show the first time teaches you so much about what you will carry over if you ever are on it again, but also what you would immediately change. And to be honest, you don't get to see a lot of stuff until you're already filming. And that includes the box of tools that you are given. And they're very backwoods style tools. But there's so many like little nuances where had we not started digging through the box, it was like, oh man, I had that the whole time.
It's like once you see one hit the box.
Word of advice to anybody that goes on this show, the first thing I tell you to do when you can is look through that entire box before you do anything else.
Second that.
It might save you.
Something I thought was funny
because I didn't look.
Is when they went back to judge the jars, you all were sitting over there drinking. It's like, okay, whatever, go ahead. It's like y'all are more interested in the conversation with each other. It's like, okay, I go ahead. All right.
They complimented all of us on how well we were like. So I wanted to go on the show and be a hard ass because I'm a hard ass kind of dude. But after meeting Katy and Nate, you know what I mean? I was hoping someone would give me a hard time, but they wouldn't. So I'm like, now I got to be friends with these people. This really sucks. No, not really. But it really, I think, set the tone for a lot of that because Nate brought a lot of the talking out because Nate was like, he was on that shit, man. Like they wanted to like start talking. Nate did it, you know, and he was bringing it out of us. So when it left, it kind of got a little, when he had to go, it was time to get a little more serious. But I think because it was me and her, that serious wasn't so serious.
Y'all.
We were like, y'all need to stop talking. Like we're filming next door.
Over there cutting up, having a good time, and they're like, "Well, we're gonna go back and we're gonna judge these two." And y'all were sipping, okay. And come back to your conversation.
I think
I laughed.
They couldn't have picked 3 more different people of experience, and it was really, really fun to see the 2 of them do what they do well.
I think they try to see this. Because like last episode,
I learned a lot.
You had 2 brewers, you know, basically that made beer for ages, and then you had Justin who'd never made a beer before, you know, thrown into a beer competition. It's like, it's like bringing, two bakers into your all's competition and then throwing somebody that's never tasted a pastry in there. It's like, wow.
There's a beginner luck somewhere,
Yeah,
man.
and they tend to do that in the shows. You generally bring the old school old timer on there, and then some new school science and well educated, age, very very educated into the craft, and then somebody kind of in between that kind of, and I guess that helps, keep it interesting and make it more of a competition.
Yeah, see, that's what made it cool for me is like, you listen to the accolades that they have. You know what I mean? Like you hear what Katy's done. You see what Nate's done. Like both of these people have done and done so much in their lives when it comes to like liquor and brewing and stuff like that. Like you want to talk about intimidation, man, dude. And then you got Katy name dropping Jesse James and like,
oh yeah,
she's like my whole family's moonshiners. I'm sitting here going, oh shit, here we go. Here we go. It's going to be hard. And then like, I think that just kind of, it's like when I golf with somebody that's better, it helps me play better. So when I was shining with people that know a lot, it helps me shine better. Just like with anything else in life, like these two brought out the best in me. So I will say this, like I felt like it made me feel a little cocky about myself, and I'm not that person. I'm really not a cocky person when it comes to that. I think with the clips they were showing kind of that's when we were having fun. Like me and her, like everybody was loving the one-liners last night.
Yeah, for sure. Larry was loving the one-liners that day.
One thing I think the show kind of points out is how, you can bring in the most seasoned distillers ever and throw a curveball at them, like, make a mash out of pastry. And, that's like the people in the groups that come to me with questions, have you ever run Fruit Loops or Cocoa Puffs? It's like, no, I haven't. And, and
exactly.
it's like, and it's like, it's tough. You bring somebody seasoned in like that, and they're used to the grains. They're used to they're used to their way. And, you throw a curveball at them like that, and it goes back to ground zero. Everybody's balanced and even. If you have any experience, unless you just never done it before. But once you have some experience, you know what you're doing. It levels the playing field, when you do stuff like that. So, it's interesting, to see how the pros, deal with it. And, somebody that's, not, a master distiller in their own right and have a distillery and go, labeled bottles under their shelf, under their, belt. It's interesting that a lot of these curveballs they throw at you kind of levels the playing field a lot.
There was a lot of curveballs. Like so,
this episode did not even cater to half of them.
My first
y'all missed
curveball
out on so much.
Yeah, like I was looking through the bread. So when it was my turn, I'm going for the bread, and the first thing I did was bust one open, and I saw olives, and I'm like, dude, I hate olives. I can't stand them. And like,
I think I traded you at some point, didn't I? I was like, I'll take them.
You did. You gave me the cherry loaf, and I gave you the olive loaf. So we were like, and I would break them open, and if I wouldn't have done that, I would have been throwing that stuff in there. But the curveball is, and this is out of Digger's mouth, straight there. He said, if I would have used the ones with the olives in it, that salt would have energized my yeast from the olive. And that was right out of that man's mouth. And that's what he's like, that salt would energize that yeast and help your yeast out a little bit.
Yep.
I would
guess
that. I mean, I can see salt.
Trade secret.
I can see salt stressing a yeast in certain ways that would give you certain congeners, but I don't think salt's an energizer at all for yeast. Technically
I'm just saying what he was telling me.
I'd say it's like a stressor.
Whenever your yeast, that's a trick too, though, that people don't, unless you've experimented or like you start looking at breaking it down. That's actually a trick. If your yeast is stalling in beer, sometimes you will put bicardium sorbate in there. You'll sometimes end up putting like table salt in there, and it's just enough to get it to break up the monotony of like what you're doing. So there are a lot of different salts and enzymes that go into this that you might already have in your product that you don't need to add, but there's a lot of times where in order to have the best chance of your yeast lasting, you actually will add a lot of salts and enzymes into it. And that's really just based on what you're using. Your turbo yeast, maybe that would have like helped indefinitely, but it really does depend on what you're making, what yeast you're using, your elements, your temperature control. It's pretty crazy. Science is weird.
Hey, gentlemen, I have to apologize. Katie, I have to get back on the road, you guys. I got to get I got several more hours of driving ahead of me, and but if you ever do this again, I'd love to come back and chit chat.
Yeah, we're going to try to do some reunions after the season's over. We're going to try to do some little reunion parties and get groups of everybody together and try to find out who all was filming with who at the same time, and maybe get all those people back together from different episodes and make friendships with each other and stuff. So,
right on. All right, well, it's good to meet you guys, and I'll talk to you two later, all right?
See you, Nate.
Nate,
I'll send you that link so you can watch.
Cheers,
Safe
y'all.
Travels.
Thank
Safe
you very
travels.
much.
Being on, man.
Yeah, man.
We'll see you again soon.
Yeah.
I like.
I'm so glad he could join.
He's a good dude, man. I like Nate.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to bring that up to cause any whatever. I just felt like he got the raw end of that. That's really why.
Yeah, that was probably not the best.
Well, he also there's a little bit of the backstory of why his airtime was a lot shorter is because they didn't use those interviews.
Well, I'd say for them on their defense, it gets kind of hectic. They've got so many different crews and they're filming at the same time. They're trying to get everything done. And somebody dropped the ball and it's like, holy shit, you didn't get his interview? No. Well, you got to go over there and do it now, and, it's better now than never. That way we can't exclude him, so it happens.
We had a couple of hiccups during our episode, but that naturally happens and things like this. So it's, you just keep rolling with it, but he's doing great stuff. So.
Question for you.
Okay, it says when starting your shine making adventure, how many jars did you make before you were like, oh yeah, I can do this? Was it like this sucks? One's pretty good, and then so I know Karen. Karen's actually a really awesome lady, and Karen, I was actually dumping 120 proof down the drain for probably the first 4 or 5 times I shined because it wasn't strong enough. Because to me, I'm thinking first time ever, like moonshine, baby, we need 160.
Supposed to burn all the way down. Yeah.
But in my mind, I'm thinking this, like more alcohol, that's more I can cut. That's more money in my pocket. So 120 ain't enough to cut. So I'm getting it out here.
Right. And that's when people start, that's exactly what they think. It's a pissing contest to see who can get the highest proof and the strongest shine and all this. And it's like,
and that's not where you need to be.
No, you can usually tell the more seasoned ones when they're more interested in lower proof and flavors and
that's where the turbo yeast gets a bad rap because I think it was Marker Digger. He had come around, they come around and they talk to you a little bit while you're making your stuff. And he had me cracking up. He's like, kind of yeast you bring? I said, turbo. He said, you know what that turbo makes, don't you? I said, Digger, listen, I'm in the same game as you, baby. I said, I'm in it for a lot of quantity with a little quality control so it could hit the streets faster. And he started laughing.
Yeah, it's turbo does have a bad rap, and there's
it's getting that flavor out. If you know how to get that sulfur smell, that sulfur taste.
There's 2 things that turbo does. It adds the sulfur and it's a lot of flocculants. It's a lot of sediments and flocculants in it that builds up a pretty large yeast bed. And if you're doing more of a neutral spirit, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. You can distill that bad sulfur right off, or if you have enough copper, and use your copper mesh to get a lot of that sulfur out, that goes a long way as well. That hydrogen sulfide and the sulfides will bond to the, the mesh and the copper. And that's one of the reasons people use copper. And we found that putting, like a copper mesh with a lot of surface area in the,
columns. Yeah.
Wherever
I would have had more copper, but somebody took the Thumper.
Yeah.
Wonder who
Someone
that
had
was.
to
But I
take
had a
it.
This is
higher
what I wanted to say the
ABV.
other day. This is what I wanted to say the other day. This is good. So I'm a nice guy. Upon meeting everybody, we're all sitting up in the little waiting area, and we're all just talking, me, her, and Nate. And it was like, so what are you going to try for? And I'm like, well, and I'm thinking, like, because we already kind of knew what we were walking into, but we didn't know what was going to be there. So I'm sitting there thinking, like, listen, bro, go for the rye bread. That's exactly what I said to Bose. I'm like, I'm going for rye, right? If I have the chance, I'm taking it. This ain't no lie. Nate got to go first. I was like, he took damn near all of it, right?
Yeah,
He took
yeah.
almost all of it. Then it was my turn. So I looked to see how much there was. I looked at Katy. I said, are you going to be needing any rye? I asked her, I'm like, do you want some of this? Because I will save you some. She says, do what you want. And I say, well, don't, I'm taking it all. So I took the rest of what's theirs. And that's when we traded because like she had what, and then so Nate took all the rye. Then as we were talking, they're like, what kind of still would you run? I'm like, well, shit, I run one with a Thumper at home. That's what I'm going for. Katy takes the still with the Thumper. So I'm sitting there thinking to myself,
Well, I mean, why would I not though? Why would I not?
I'm not mad at you
Yeah,
for it.
Exactly.
Okay, so the episode two doesn't show because we had so many different curveballs, but essentially whoever won the ABV contest got first choice at still. Those stills were pre-built, so there was one Thumper, one pot, and there was one column like refractive situation going on. So our first run was based off those three stills, and then they curveballed Jason and I again, thinking that like I was going to have the Thumper for the second challenge, and we walked in the room and both of us had Thumpers for our final challenge. So it worked out in Jason's defense, but
Hey,
yeah,
whatever.
I mean, I was like, all right,
helped you
y'all,
out,
like
Katy. You can't even say I
Thumper's
didn't.
mine.
I helped you with that Thumper, girl. Because they were even saying on TV last night, they're like, whoa, she's really loading that thing up.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to just bring that up.
I mean, I
know,
did
the
what I
best
wanted
way
to
to
do.
do that,
It worked out
Katy,
fine.
The best way to do that is take it right out of your pot and add it to your Thumper.
Charge it up.
So I actually ended up, I didn't put any of my moonshine in there. I put all apple cider or apple juice. I didn't put any alcohol in there.
Yeah.
I just wanted to pick up flavor. You have to think, my first jar was 120. I was pulling off like 140, 160 that first run. So I was like, we had to be down to like what, 40, so 80 proof for our final jar. And then with sipping cream is it couldn't be too high alcohol because it would have curdled my cream. So I was like, we don't want to have any extra alcohol carried over. I just want to get good flavor. But yes, the heating up inside of the main pot into the Thumper, hearing you absolutely on that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot you added just
Sorry.
apple juice in there. Yeah, I forgot you added the apple juice. A lot of people forget about that. The best thing, the way to charge your Thumper is to have it, warm liquid going in.
Yeah, so
yeah,
like,
that's what
that was
Panhead,
good home, is just open it up
brought
after
out.
it's hard
I guess
to
cut
drink
Yeah,
it.
Panhead did it.
Showing people because they cut the distilling time instead of 4 hours, it was 3. And it's like, wow, that's for the first distillation. It's like, wow, that's cutting quite a bit of time out, between 3 and 4 hours. That's when your hearts are coming out in 3 hour 3 and 4,
Yeah.
So yeah, so he decided to put less into the still and charge the Thumper and with something warm, that way
They
you wouldn't
say
have to wait on it to heat up. That was really an experienced time cutter for sure.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but dude, to cut that down to 3 hours. I mean, listen, I was just happy that that was a one less hour that we were roasting away.
It was hot.
I swear,
It was really hot.
they're trying to get your DNA because, I mean, dude, you leave more of your DNA on the floor than there was water. That's for sure.
Back to heating up your Thumper. What I do, I've got a 5-gallon Thumper, so I'll heat all my liquid up in the microwave and then I'll dump it in. And it always works good. I mean, it saves so much time. You get your liquor quicker.
So, but if you're charging it with alcohol, it won't.
No, I don't use alcohol. If I'm using alcohol,
okay.
I'll be straight
I'm
in.
like,
yeah, he's talking about charging it with something hot. Yeah,
I got you. Yeah.
Heard, okay.
Yeah.
If I do a fruit or a juice, I'll heat it up in the microwave and then dump it in. And like if I do, I use.
I'll do that, but I don't do it for the time thing. I do it because I'm afraid I'm going to bust my sight glass that's on my infuser. So if I don't put something hot in there, I'm afraid it's going to crack it. So that's why I put some hot.
I've got the Thumper or the infuser on top of my Thumper, and then I also got 2 flavor jars, I call them, and those I'll also heat up. I'll have one always full and put on top of my cap, and let my still heat it up to room temperature. That's always. I mean, it just when that vapor carries over in them jars, it just takes so much longer to re-vaporize and go into the next jar. So I try to keep it warm where it's just bam, bam.
Yeah, some people even
That's
put a
something I
little
learned
heat
from the
under their
show, man.
thumper. They'll put a little burner
Mhm.
under their thumper to help, warm that stuff up to, at the same time they're heating up their steel. But you don't
So
want
I'll
to,
do
you don't want to feed it
I'll
back.
do that with I have an electric hot plate that I'll put
Yeah.
my beer keg thumper on.
Right.
And I'll heat my beer keg thumper up that way to get it, because again, it take, like you said, man, dude, once you vaporize it once and it's got to go through that whole process again.
Yep.
Now this whole entire beer keg's got to heat up.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? Like,
Especially if you got a 10-gallon
pain
keg
in
or
the
a
ass,
5-gallon keg.
dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, by the way, Roger. I didn't mean to cut you off on you giving me. I'm here for all the advice I can get.
You're good.
But yeah, it was really interesting. I was familiar with a Thumper, but that's my first time in on a smaller scale. We in my production spaces that I've worked in, we've had things that would be considered like the Thumper of that still, but never in the full form of what I had worked with. So I had understood what I was processing, but that was the first time that I ever got to truly, talk with Jason especially about it and be like, cool, like I understand kind of what's going on, but like also the flavor infusions, like how do you use this more so? Because everybody does incorporate the Thumper in their own, relative way, and it's really cool to see. I wish that I had my own set so I could experiment more of like what I would put in my still versus what I would put in the Thumper. So I really would love to experiment more with that on my own time and figure out, what
you gotta
what
get
like.
your own. You got to get your own set, even if it's only a little 5-gallon. I mean, just
Listen, she running still like she ain't ever stopped running a
I
still,
know.
dude.
I've seen that. Yeah,
She can't I think the only problem me and her had when we did our still was lighting the freaking burners, because like I think hers froze, mine froze. I'm like, what the? Here we are.
And I think the first time I didn't have any propane left in my tank, and all the boys were giving me like a ton of slack, and they were like, come on, Katy, like, you know how to burn this. And I was like, I swear, like this, like y'all, why y'all come over here? This is not me. This is not human error. And then it happened again, and I was like, are y'all punking me right now? Like, is this
she did too.
like, but it was fine. We got it working. Fireworks.
Yeah, we did.
But,
hey, then it happened to me shortly after, so I can't complain because mine froze up. That little diaphragm in the burner froze up. I'm like, oh man.
They did teach us that little like the trick of like I don't know. It was a weird system. I've worked with propane. When I learned how to do this in school, all of our stuff was on what we call a Sabco system. So they were even smaller systems than like what this is. And so I was always dealing with propane tanks, but that little box thing that we had connected to it that you kept having to like hit it on the ground. I don't know. I was like, this is sketchy, but
that's like
the regulator.
Yeah, is that like one of the new turkey frying regulators that's like on little timers and shit? Why would they use it's got the button on it?
Like I don't remember, to be honest, that had the button.
Oh, I hate those.
But there was like a pin specifically in this thing, and it would move or it would engage itself, and so that's where like there was like a break in the transfer. Oh, that's a cute cat.
My man.
It's like
another one
out here.
I'm returning the pen. Do you just drink all that? Oh, I thought you threw it on the ground. You drank. I was like, yeah, go ahead.
Cat likes it. No, cat don't like it.
Dude, I got a fucking Batman mask. Go ahead.
Oh, it's like blurred. Have you guys had oh my gosh, weird. This is like a more now like known distillery in Canada, but Pike Creek. I'm sorry. Don't come for me. It's actually fantastic.
Is it?
I got a couple barrels that were Katy.
I'm sorry.
I said you better hope they ain't listening to this podcast.
What's going on,
Jason? Oh, it's fine.
Pike Creek.
Thank you, Jason Kendall. Woo.
How's it going, Jason? Jason Kendall.
Jason's our buddy. He's come over and still talking. I think he's trying to get up with you guys to do an interview. So if you see that name, Yeah,
They
you
do
know
good
what
guys.
it's
wondering.
about. Yeah, they're great people over there. We kind of help each other out. Colton's got a question.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I can give you a little tip on that one, man. Like, so my uncle's really good. Like he likes to use this with the carbon, the turbo yeast with the carbon. Like it has to like clarify it, and you got step A and step B. And I'm like, listen, bro, I'm out there. I don't have time for step A and step B. It's one and done and let's run. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm trying to do, one and done and let's run. But like for that, what he likes to do is he'll put a pan. Like when he starts his mash, he has a stainless steel pan he has in the bottom. Like after a couple, like after
a false bottom, like a false
yeah, he'll
bottom.
put that pan on the bottom when he has his pump on there. So when it pumps out, it won't pump. He don't pump none of the yeast with it. So and that helps not get that, them flavors. But you can also filter it too.
I found dropping pumps in there generally stirs stuff up. I just siphon rack. I'm not, in a big huge hurry.
He ferments with the pump in there. Like he never drops it in. The pump never comes out. He ferments with it in there, man. He hits the switch and it just right out. I'm like, dude,
the way I do it is I always leave a good 2 inches on the bottom.
That's how I am.
Whether it's a 15 or a 55, but I know I'm not getting no yeast. I'm not getting no off flavors. And then I always use it for like my my sour mash anyway. So I just try to get as much out of it as I can, but I don't want to take all of it out because I don't want to get that yeast.
I learned a lot of that from you guys. Last episode we were all on, we were talking about the sour mash, dude. And I'm really intrigued about the whiskeys, man. Like whiskey to me is like, I love it right now. So I really want to do some sour mash, man. And that's really got me like thinking about it. I don't want to do anything now.
I aged a little barrel, about 2 gallon barrel with some sour mash. I'll tell you what, it's the best I ever made.
Yeah, it's good. Sour mash.
That's what I learned, and that's how I learned how to distill was on sour mash. I guess Colton too to piggyback off what they said, because that's all absolutely totally agree. I guess my second thing to think about is one, how are you transferring? Because that's going to vary on how I would recommend for you to filter it out. I mean, you can do something as simple as cheesecloth and some extra strainers. If you don't, it depends on what you have and what you're willing to invest in. Another trick would be, depending on your yeast, I would look at if it fluctuates on top or the bottom. If there's something that you're fermenting in, I did this in an old, and there's still things I want to try out, but I had an old bottling fermenter that I had. So the bottom was able to open up. And a lot of the time, if you don't have a way to filter out well, if it fluctuates to the bottom, or you can get a yeast that will, all your sediment's going to be at the bottom too. Slowly open up the opening and let it come out, and that will also help with what's dropping in the bottom. Be careful doing that, but I would also experiment with that too if you're going to end up pulling out in a really fast way via pump or whatever you might be doing. That helps sometimes.
Like when I pump mine out of my barrel, I've got a paint strainer, like for a 1 gallon paint can on the end of my hose. And then that's
the way to do it.
I pump into a funnel or a strainer that's got, I pump into a 5 gallon bucket, which got another paint strainer in it for a 5 gallon bucket. And then I pump it through my strainers, double strainers that's got the cheesecloth, or I'll use, a strainer sack for, if I'm out of paint strainers, or cheesecloth. So I think that works really well. I mean, I had one run where I scorched it. It happened to be peaches, and it's 'cause I didn't strain it that well. So I learned this right after that, and that was for a contest we were in.
Well, the thing, if you let it settle and get a distinctive yeast bed and clear on the top and yeast bed on the bottom, if you can just drop your siphoning hose about an inch above that yeast bed, it doesn't disturb it, and it'll all drain out. And I see a lot of people wanting to take that last bit of yeast bed and that liquid from the yeast bed and save it and press it and get you really don't need to get that last bit of juice. Make extra instead of trying to suffer yourself and pressing and going through a secondary fermentation, letting it settle and letting that settle and doing it several times. Just make more, make extra, and then sour mash that stuff back in. And
I mean, you can only get it so clear anyway, right?
Exactly.
90% out of the 100, like take it and be good with it, because
And-
whether it's beer or distillate, like there's no way to filter all that out unless you're going to invest a ton of money, which honestly I think is absolutely unnecessary. Like
Because
you're
you're
going
gonna
to get a
still
great
some funky
distillate.
taste in them, man.
And it doesn't hurt if you get a little bit of that in there. It carries some flavor with it.
Yeah, some
You
of
just
them.
don't want a bunch, you know, you just
Yeah.
don't want to get a nice milky, you know, really particulates. That's the important
Right.
thing. You know what?
See, that's how I learned, dude. Like honestly, so an old friend of mine, his uncle had wine, and he had still had
That's
yeast
valid.
beds in it, right? And I'm like, bring it over, let's cook it. We'll cook anything. And that's the first time I cooked wine, and that's the first time I realized that we should really start straining, because it tasted so bad, like from the yeast being cooked in the still with it. It was like, dude, number one, pump the brakes on that. Like, what did you just do? Did you not filter this? Like, and that's all you could taste was yeast. You couldn't even taste the alcohol. I knew you was reaching, dude.
Yeah,
I saw the hand move. I was like, oh.
With the wines, I do a
I'm trying to see if I
secondary
can drink already.
fermentation. So I'll do my primary, and then after a couple of weeks, I'll rack everything except that yeast bit off, and a little bit of that to go with it to help continue the slow fermentation that goes on during the secondary. And then I'll let that go for like months. And then whatever's in the bottom of that, you know, it's easily racked off and put into wine bottles, or, you know, made brandy. You know,
so if I got like that yeast bed on the bottom of my barrel, and like me and Roger said, you know, I'll leave that 2 inches on there. Say I start collecting all that, is that useful?
Yeah, that's full of live yeast. You know, it's called trub. It's full of live yeast, and what's dead is a nutrient. So, you know,
it'll feed off of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I can put that in my next mash.
Put it in your next mash and save on nutrients and yeast, and not have to spend a penny on either. Yeah, absolutely.
Literally, nutrients in fermentation is just dead yeast. That's literally what it is. That's why it smells horrible. It's just dead yeast and a lot of nasty things that you never want to, like, you just don't want to know what it is, but mostly it's dead yeast. And it works. It works.
I know both of y'all gonna hate me for this. Both of y'all gonna hate me for this. I've got, I don't know, probably two bags of turbo yeast in my fridge. You know what I use that for? I'll make my yeast nutrient out of it.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Boil it.
Make a slurry.
I've never had good luck with turbo yeast. So, you know, I mean, it makes a good yeast nutrient. I tell you what, you give that shit in there, you put that in there, and they go nuts.
But that's because of the nutrients that comes in with the turbo yeast, right?
Yeah.
No,
I can use any yeast to do this. You can kill any yeast by boiling it.
Right.
And then you just add it, you put it in a mason jar, just add it right to your mash.
Yeah, there's a lot cheaper nutrients.
I mean, I think that's also smart too, because I mean, if you already had it and you don't like it, at least if you buy yeast and you don't like it, that's the perfect way to keep your money, you know. There's a thing called DAP, which is actually what I use with that seltzer.
Yeah,
DAP is another. It's a great thing. That's what I use for my nutrients.
I preach that to everybody.
Months later, and she finally tells me what it was.
I would have told you. Well, actually, I would have told you had you asked. Did I not show you?
I'm like, you're like an enzyme.
Everybody's in the group.
I will send you my people. I'll send you the link to get that, because
I was like, oh my God, Katy.
Oh yeah, that's
sorry. I thought I told you. I don't like being a gatekeeper. There's nothing that I need to keep a secret about. Like, if you want to know something, I will tell you.
Groups, man, we can get
you know.
She peeled the label off of that bottle, though, so nobody could see what it was.
You know, a lot of people in the groups ask, and they say, "Oh, raisins make a great nutrient." No, they do not. They don't have FAN, and they don't have YAN, yeast assimilable nitrogen, and free amino acid, nitrogen. They don't have either. So they do have some, minerals in them that are okay, but if the wine industry thought that grapes had enough nutrients in them to ferment a wine, they would have never spent millions of dollars developing diammonium phosphate to the level that they have with urea and everything else that they add to it, to make a good nutrient. They spent a lot of money developing that. So me as a home distiller, I'm not going to guess a multi-billion-dollar industry and their laboratories on what makes a good yeast nutrient or not. And it's cheap. Diammonium phosphate is cheap as hell. You know, you get the Fermax, the
Needs like a
Fermate,
little
the
bit,
Fermo. You only use a tiny little
just a
amount. You
little
get a
bit. It'll
pound.
last.
You get a pound, and at the size of that we distill, it's just a little teaspoon. You know, it's
Yeah.
gonna last forever, and it's like $10-12 a pound. Buy it. Don't ever use anything else. I mean, in a pinch, if you run out, yeah, you can use your bran flakes. Yeah, you can use dead yeast, but yeast is a lot more expensive per gram than diammonium phosphate for sure. So,
Yeah, I usually use
definitely.
the yeast nutrient when I got it, but
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, and when you buy
when I'm
as
in a
yeast
pinch,
nutrient,
when I'm
that's
in a
what
pinch,
you're getting. You know.
I've
when
been
I'm in a
using a
pinch,
lot
I'll
more like
take my
bread yeasts and champagne yeast because it's not always. I know Mr. Tover yeast over here. Katie's probably like ready to fall out because like
Why?
all I talked about was turbo yeast the whole entire time.
I'm
Like
not.
I
I'm
love
not a
it.
turbo yeast hater. I'm not a
No,
hater. Do I
no.
Turbo
use it
yeast
often?
does
You
have
should
a
be happy that
place.
I'm doing something different now. Is what I'm saying.
One of the good
That's
things
good.
about
Well,
turbo
champagne
yeast,
yeast is
it's
great.
got the nutrients in it.
Right.
So your turbo yeast that you're using, it has some of the nutrients that she was using in there.
Oh,
It's already
absolutely.
added to it, you know.
Right.
So that's one of the things. But
See,
it's better for neutral and
the best
fuel.
part is, and you know when it's working because like I'll go down in my garage and one day it'll smell like Subway, and then I'll go down in the garage and then the next day it smells like a Taco Bell bathroom, and I'm like, this bad boy has been rolling.
Yeah. That's a good graphic there. Thank you.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying, all Taco
and
Bells kind of stink
then
when
you
you
go
go.
by it and it smells, and it's, you know, with sulfur. It's like, oh shit! Now we're going through the rotten egg sulfur smell.
But
Okay.
listen, I can get that out of there, man. And copper does a really good job of getting a lot of that out of there, but there's still a little bit more. You know what I mean? So it's like you got, you know, filtering is a great thing, number one, and then it's even better when you're mixing it with cream because cream can cover just about anything.
Right.
Yeah. And what's great
Tomato-
too is like say you're barrel aging, and sometimes there's actually like proven science that sulfur components carry very well over for barrel aging with wood.
Absolutely.
So if you have able to get like wood chips, sometimes it gets you the exact flavors that you want. So I always challenge people to look at different flavor wheels of what those like relationships are with what your flavors you're getting off of, and you can make some really cool stuff.
And that's a really good point. You know, when you're making cuts, for white dog, you're going to make those cuts differently than something that you plan on aging. You know, you're going to add a lot more tails and a lot, you know, and maybe even some of your heads to get flavors that are going to come out during the aging process and estrify during the aging process that you're not going to get with a white dog that you're drinking straight off the tap, mixing, you know, proofing down and just expecting it to be drunk right then. You know, it's two different, you know, totally two different things. Jeremy's posted about tomato paste as pennies. He uses it for nutrients. Tomato paste has a lot of nutrients in there that is awesome and great. It still lacks the yan and fan that you need, but it has a lot of micronutrients and a lot of other supplemental nutrients in there that's great. So if you do use like a DAP and, you know, you want to add, you know, a little bit of that to add some other micronutrients and other things that, you know, that help it along, that would be great. I'm not sure that if I was making a brandy and a wine, if I'm going to put, you know, the tomato paste in that, but like, you know, maybe in a rum that's going to get neutralized or something that I'm going to run through a column, you know, maybe, you know, like vodkas or something else with vodka and that tomato paste may be good for Bloody Marys.
Tater shine.
But
yeah, I had a
or
question for you
potatoes or
if
something
you're
like
still
that.
in here.
But I wouldn't do it probably for my brandy.
Do you have issues with this tomato paste having any kind of like oil or any kind of residual oils in it at all when you use
Never
it?
seen it.
From what?
Okay.
It.
From what?
Like just like residual oil, like oil pool from the tomato paste, because like naturally tomatoes have a little bit of oil, but
yeah, it's not real bad. It's not bad about it.
I mean,
I've never done a lot with the tomato paste. You know, I've experimented when I saw this, what they called a bird watchers recipe that went around years and years ago. It was horrible. It was horrible. It was, and it had no nutrient. It had the tomato paste, but there's no yan or fan in there. And I'm like, well, where are they getting all the, you know, the nitrogen from for fertilization, you know, to feed? And I guess it was from the yeast because they were adding like 20 times the normal amount of yeast to this fermentation. I'm like, Okay, so they're using the yeast that gets cannibalized as the nutrients because they were using way too much yeast, and it makes terrible liquor. I don't recommend anybody use it.
I've tried the Birdwatcher's recipe. No, I'll never do it again. If I'm gonna make a sugar shine, I'll go.
I
my
like
own
sugar
way.
shine. Listen, there's nothing wrong with sugar shine.
But I mean, I don't run it a lot because I mean I like to double distill, and so
I
mean,
double
that
distill
gives
my
me
sugar shine.
Well, that gives me my neutral flavor from whatever I've run. Sometimes I might triple distill, but all in all, if I got a choice, I'm gonna do the way I'm doing versus
And
sugar
you know,
shine.
and it also boils down to, I mean, it's worked great for him, and that's that it's fine. I've seen people do fermentations without any nutrients at all. So obviously you can do it without
Oh
nutrients.
yeah, I've done
The
that.
question is, how much stress does the yeast go through when it's having to cannibalize itself and do that, and you're getting a lot of off flavors as a result. So just because you can do something doesn't necessarily always mean that you should.
That's right.
But
Because you might be creating more
in his
work to get
defense,
rid of
I mean,
them.
it does
rid
add a
of
lot
the
of
yeast.
good nutrients. So it's definitely better than using nothing. Absolutely. Because there's a lot of good nutrients, calcium, zinc, essential stuff in there that you have to have that it adds to your fermentation. So it's definitely helping, but
pay
it just
attention.
Nate
doesn't
actually
have
didn't. Nate
pan.
forgot his nutrients. Nate didn't have nutrients at all, except for whatever was maybe not dead, possibly left in the bread, but doubtful that there was anything really residual. He didn't have nutrients in it, so.
Yeah, I mean the bread,
So
the
that's
rye
why
bread
it
and stuff,
didn't
it'll have
finish
stuff in there that'll feed it.
all the way.
And his turbo yeast probably
No,
had nutrients in it as well. So
No, I don't think he used turbo. He used
He used rum.
rum. Okay,
The rum
yeast,
yeast.
yeah. Okay.
But it was proprietary. He wouldn't tell us what it was.
He wouldn't either.
Yeah.
He wouldn't.
I've
shit was
seen
passing
people
down
that'll
the
hand
line.
out recipes left and right, but when you ask them about their yeast,
they're like,
Well, I think he uses it. He uses it for his distillery, so I'm sure that's probably.
well, that was
why he was like, I don't know. I don't know what you guys do.
Bruiser was like, man, I come walking in here with a bag of yeast in my pocket. Ding.
Mm-hmm.
How he sounded too. I was like,
Bruiser.
yeah,
It sounded just like him.
that's how he
You need a
talked,
little
dude.
more
I had to
draw,
tell him to
dude.
stop because I couldn't understand him.
You need a little more draw in your voice or words. Santa, can you do Bruiser? Come on now, you can do it.
Listen, I like the guy, man. He's
hell yeah.
Oh, I understand it. Yeah, I understand it all.
There was only one weirdo that I met, and he wasn't a distiller, but he was in that area. And
that one, public enemy number one. He's like, I will never speak to that man again.
Do you know? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, duh, you were there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dude is a fucking creep, bro. So like, it was. I don't know. Just getting. It was. Yeah. Like public enemy number one. He was the only one. Everybody else was cool.
Who was it?
Was it?
We're not mentioning names.
No, I don't want to mention nobody's
No,
name.
he's not worth talking about. He's irrelevant. Absolutely irrelevant.
Yeah. Listen, if he ain't on the walls of my house, he ain't on the walls of my head.
That's right. So
I will tell you though, like, I don't know if it's no one here. I would hope, but I definitely got some very odd messages last night. So if you're entitled, or if you feel implied to message me and not be moonshine related, please retain from.
Yo, are you serious?
Yeah, thank you.
You did?
Yeah.
You got
I just have to say it. Like, we're not interested. We're here to talk about moonshine all day, but please don't be.
Yeah, if you get something really bad, let us know so we can.
Listen, that's why you got to get a social media dude.
I'm not worried about it being from like these from you folks. I'm sorry if that was aggressive. Just as a woman, I'd like to say we're here for the moonshine all day, but please leave it at that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, right.
I love what I do. And I love you guys.
That's awesome. We love you too.
I'm sorry, y'all. Maybe that wasn't a good timing.
Katie, just get a social media guy, and then he has to deal with all that.
Oh.
No, there's so many
Jeremy's, I guess, taking offense to
to
me knocking tomato paste for nutrients.
He is. He's still.
As I said, Jeremy, it contains a lot of essentials that are great for nutrition. It doesn't contain yan and fan. Period. End.
Miss Karen's got a lot of good questions here.
Yeah.
So Nate, Jason, so when you got the final, when they did the final judging, how'd you feel?
Bro, listen, it took everything. Like I am an emotional person. Like
we've seen that
when it comes to that, because those people were like, to me, they're like gods, dude. Like they're the only reason why I started to do this and from the jump. So to be there and to have them, like, for Tim Smith, listen, they all stuck out, but Tim's really kind of got me because.
Ricky, stop.
Cat has something to say.
I've worked so hard.
Oh, Jason.
I tried so. It's just been a long process.
Yeah,
it's definitely a journey, man. It's an uphill journey.
That's why
I love every bit of it.
That's why I like to do the second episode of y'all, to get the emotions from y'all. I mean, did you,
bro? I mean,
yeah, that's why we like to do that.
I gotta
like
ask you,
to have him to say, just to have him say what he said, like, dude, I was spot on. That's exactly like that's was his words. Like he's like, it is a perfect blend between the alcohol and the flavor. And then Digger says he didn't even blend that at all. That right there, dude, like blows my mind.
Yeah, I mean, getting that validation,
that's awesome,
you know, getting that validation from somebody like that, it means a lot.
You worked your ass off to get where you are, to do what you've done. And Katy, I know you have too. I'm proud of both of y'all. I'm proud of all three of y'all. I mean, that's just a hell of a feat.
It was hard, dude. It wasn't easy. And then to top it off, like I tried to do one of the runs before I even went on the show.
I was gonna ask,
I shit the bed, bro.
I was gonna ask you that question. Did you all know what you were making before you come on the show?
As far as like our final product?
Well, as far as
baking,
your first distillation.
Did you know it's going to be baking stuff or?
Yeah,
they give you minimal like information. They literally were just like, y'all are gonna have to ferment what we're giving you. We're not telling you what's available, but like this is the episode idea. But it's very, very vague. So we didn't know if we were gonna get all desserts or if we were gonna get bread. Like my immediate concern was nuts and butter and grease, and I was like,
So you all had a rough idea about.
We just knew it was going to be pastries.
Or basically
yeah, we just knew pastries. We didn't know what we were, besides having to show up with yeast and sugar and it being a pastry episode. We didn't know what stills we were going to have to use. We didn't know if we were going to have to build them. If the immediate of the ingredients, we had an idea of what we might make, but it was like, is your opponent going to take that ingredient before? Are they even going to have it? I mean, we're in the middle of nowhere, essentially. Like, right. We're in a studio having to choose these things. So we're really at the discretion.
See, the way they're doing Master Distiller now, if they continue to do it like next year now, where I wouldn't have to go to the still house or out to the fruit market or whatever, if I could do everything from my chair, I would definitely promote or push them to do a handicap episode.
Bro, you could.
They haven't done.
Well,
they could totally.
I'm sure
they don't have to them, but I don't think it'd be a problem.
I mean, for a handicap episode, they don't have to go out into the woods to cook it, and you don't have to go into the shed to buy it. I mean, you can go into the barn, and buy it in the back of the barn and set up a little shop there. I'm sure they could, make.
Listen, you ain't got to go far; it's all right there.
Right,
everything is right there. Like
they did change it up.
If they did it the way they did your all show episode, I'd be all in. I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Listen, what blew my mind.
You should apply anyway. And see what they
really
say.
should, dude.
Well,
I would love to watch you.
I'd have to get the idea submitted and wait for that. But I think it's a hell of an idea.
I have some phone numbers and I have some people I'm seeing soon, so I can poke them.
Well, yeah, you might have to do that.
Beauty of the show now. Yeah, we have them on speed dial.
You might have to do that for us. I mean, I got me.
No, I'm happy to start that.
There's me, there's a buddy of mine, Bam Bam, he's in a chair. And I know there's other disabled shiners out there. I mean, you're not going to keep a shiner from making liquor. I mean,
No,
I don't care
bro.
what your situation is.
You should have a still hand. It should be you and a still hand, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like Jason and I have been trying to get the network to approve of us coming back together and doing like a team challenge to where we, like, I have hands on something and then Jason comes in the room and has to take over in the middle of whatever the hell I started.
So they do tattoo things like that. So like one artist will start a tattoo and then another artist is going to come in and say, do the shading. And then he's going to shade what he wants.
Speaking of tattoos, you got to bring your tattoo equipment to Maggie Valley when you come down.
Bro, I am.
Cool.
I'll lay it down. Listen, we're live streaming everything, so bring your big boy underwear.
Oh, hell, I don't cry. I don't cry. I mean, hell.
I do.
I got that one.
This
is my still. That's my still. Plus, I got
a steel tattoo. Mine's blowing up, though.
Oh, is it?
Well, I tell you guys what, I know I'm overdue to see Jason, but when I come back to Asheville, I'll definitely hit you guys up and would love to meet up or come see what you guys are working on when I'm out in North Carolina again.
You need to come down to Maggie Valley.
Yeah, you got to come to Maggie Valley.
I was so close. I love Maggie Valley. I'm sorry that we didn't meet before now, but
it's so pretty down there. You got to try Maggie.
It is. Listen, that's the only reason why I did it, because Katy was like, "Oh, they're having some crazy event in Newport or something."
You need to go.
And I was going to, but I went golfing.
Well,
I had to go to work.
Dear Maggie Valley, I always rent a cabin. I always do a open invite. Cook it. Bring a steak. Cook a steak. You know, let's sit up on the deck, get drunk, and eat. You know, talk to shit. And we had a pretty good turnout last year, didn't we, Santa?
Yeah, we had a good time. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, man, we have a blast. I mean,
See, now that I know more people in the community and more in this network, it's crazy, dude.
I seen you last.
Yeah, well, Jason, let's coordinate. Let's get your lady out here and let's go.
She's down.
I need to meet her in person because she inspires me. Sorry, you're cool, but your wife's cooler.
Well, you can't hang out with his wife while he's doing anything.
Is that what the kids do? Sorry.
Yeah, y'all can hang out with the wives. I mean, my old lady, his old lady. We'll do
Listen, you think I'm fucking wild? I gotta have somebody that's wilder than me to be with me. So I mean, I'm only wild because she's wild.
I'll tell you what. After about a quart, I'm pretty fucking wild.
Listen, I drank more than a quart last night, dude, and I was fucking ready for bed.
Yeah. I like to have a good time. I mean,
it's all about like last night, dude. We drank so much and it went down so easy because of the atmosphere, the vibe. Like, we had a party, like a viewing party, and it was just the right amount of people. Dude, there was people that I've never met before that were online, so that kind of blew me away that came to the party.
I didn't know that you were going to have an online viewing thing going on like that. I would have jumped in there.
It wasn't online. I had posted it online.
Oh, okay.
So, and like people from Ohio came and shit like that, and dude, I was kind of like, I was taken back.
Especially with the weather the way it was.
Well, bro, what really blows my mind is when they want autographs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, are you fucking serious?
They're charged.
No, they're all my friends.
Santa and I go through that. I mean, we went through.
Okay, do you remember what I did tell you? I did tell you need to double, now that it's out in the open, you better double those prices. So if y'all want a jar from Mason, or if you want, jar from Jason, you better get it now because his prices are about to inflate. They better inflate. You better be charging more.
Okay, now that we're talking jars, Jason, you know them plastic flask you can get? You ever seen them?
Yeah.
You need to send me one so I can do a review of your liquor on a new podcast I'm starting.
Okay.
I've got 3 different liquors or 4 different liquors I'm gonna be doing reviews on, and I mean,
I would do that. Listen, I tasted some corn liquor, Shed Shiner. He's on one of the things and stuff. Yeah. Bro, I got to meet him last night. He's from right up the street. And he got to meet another guy that was there that he's been talking to for friends that came from Ohio, just like to meet. And that was some cool shit, man. And I got to go outside and taste this. He did a blue corn, like a
blue, probably.
Some blue. Is it like a blue butcher?
Bloody Butcher and blue corn?
Yeah. I think it's what it was. I tasted it. I'm going to tell you what. when I make regular corn, now I know I'm doing it right.
Yeah.
Because I tasted that. Because I don't ever drink corn liquor. I don't really know what somebody's homemade corn liquor would taste like. That's what I'm saying. But then when I drink that, I'm like, wow, man, mine tastes just like this. Like, so for me, it's still a little bit of validation there. Like I need, like, I don't know, like, I'll make you like, hey, Richard said it best. I'll fucking ferment a brick for you if you want.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? But I don't know what it's going to taste like. I've never had fermented brick. So
that's the way I am. I'm a big experimental person. I like trying different things, different grains, different corn combinations.
Right.
If it comes out good, great. If it comes out like shit, well, that was a loss.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to accept that loss for a gain. I mean, I know I'm going to gain somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the way I'll always do everything. Sam and I were in a peach contest, and I'd never done a clear peach. I'd never done a clear peach.
Hold on, everybody in the comments are like, "Oh, Christy's cooler." Listen, she's really not.
I mean, I didn't tell them to say that. That was said on their own merit. So, like, I digress.
She's really not. It's a lot hotter upstairs. I tell you that.
Yeah, there are a lot of parties going on at Maggie Valley.
Oh, golly.
Yeah, outside what's Days Inn and stuff.
If you go through the Comfort Inn, you're going to get drunk.
Comfort Inn, that's what it was. Yeah, Comfort.
Because, I mean, there's so many jars of liquor on the picnic tables. And the police, they drive by, they look and they wave and keep driving on.
So here's my question. What is it to get, how much does it run to get a booth at Maggie Valley?
You'd have to talk to, damn, what's her name, Santa?
I'm trying to think of her name. Shit. Tom could tell you.
I have Maggie. I can ask. I mean, I have it. I was just trying to get a roundabout idea.
It's like $30, I believe, or something like that.
It's more than that. I think it's close to 100 for 2 days, but I'm trying to think of her name.
It's not bad, man. It's really not bad at all. See, and that makes it affordable.
Lisa said Becky or Pam.
Becky Ramsey.
Becky Ramsey. Yeah.
Becky Ramsey.
Okay.
Get hold of Becky.
Also, hi Lisa. Thank you for always being so sweet. Appreciate you.
Tell her you were on Master Distiller, you won, and you want to put a booth up, and that's a big plus right there.
Yeah, I'll have to have security there so Katy doesn't crash my party.
I mean, give me a call. I'll take care of whoever you need to take care of. I know that. I mean, I lived in the mountains for 10 years. I may not be from Maggie Valley, but I know those mountains pretty well.
Listen, it is beautiful out there, dude. It is. You're lucky. You're very lucky to live there, Katy.
Katy's got your back, brother.
I know she does. She knows.
I will ask permission to approach.
Listen, there was people trying to approach her. They come up to me. Somebody come up to me and was like, dude,
I forgot about that.
We ain't saying no names. And somebody come up to me and was like, dang, brother, is she single? I said, why the fuck are you asking me? He's like, well, you're a brother, right? I'm like, no, man. We're competitors. So I says, hey,
what an experience. I mean, I'm honored.
The brother role. Okay, so
that's almost as bad as being put in the friend zone, isn't it?
I told Jason immediately. I said, one, here's the thing. I'm a grown woman in my 30s. If you can't approach me, problem number one. Two, if you're not willing to ask me and you're too shy and you have to ask him, then you already have your answer.
Yeah, he's too shy.
You shut him down. I was laughing.
That was, I mean, I'm honored. That was a very sweet gesture, but I'm good.
All right, I have a question. What is one of your favorite add-ins for a mash? Hope this is the right question. As far as add-ins, are you talking about grains or flavorings? Are you talking about post or I guess in mash?
Yeah, like fermentation versus
mash would be like your grains.
I guess
that'd be your grains.
I guess some people add some flavors and stuff to their mashes before they distill. I've heard a lot of people doing that more lately. I don't know about adding a lot of sugars or things that can burn easily in your boiler, but I've heard people adding some sweet stuff.
Or like if you had your vintners, like if you distill vintners, the wine base, and then added that to your moonshine mash. I mean, I don't know how much sugar that would create. But that's an idea I've had.
Richard specified that They were talking about grains.
Yeah. Oh, is it great?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well-
It just for a mash, I'm guessing grains since it's mash, but
Wrong guy to ask
we
here.
pretty much use mashes for everything. Musts,
Yeah.
washes, everything's just a mash with a lot of guys.
For me, it's wheat.
I like a good cereal mash. Add
For
in.
me, it's wheat.
Yeah, I like wheat and oats.
Yeah,
Oats give
sweet
you a
and
good
soft.
mouthfeel. I like oats too. You get that
Always a little bit of barley.
barley. Yeah. If I'm
barley
going,
and rye. It's a fucking
Yeah.
must for me.
yeah.
But you gotta
I mean,
have the barley
there's
helps with the
actually-
thickness.
There's actually no favorite one I got. I mean, I like using all of them. I mean, I can't
Yeah.
say I got a favorite.
Yeah, it would depend on.
It depends on what's available and what's cheapest too for me at that point.
Right.
Because it's coming out of my pocket.
Right. That generally decides what brandy's I'm gonna make next is what's on sale or what can I
What's
get
in season and what's on
or what's free from somebody. Yeah.
So like
Yeah,
here,
I've got,
right
that's
across the
a
road,
good
man. I
story,
got a
man.
lot of apples now. I got a lot of boysenberries. I got elderberries. I found wild grapes on my property this year. So this
Awesome.
year coming up, it's all about the free mash this year.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
You got
just going
elderberries?
whatever's in
You got
season, man.
elderberries?
And I'll tell you what, you're young.
I
Start
need about-
planting fruit
I
trees
need
and
about 25
bushes,
pounds.
berry bushes, everything you can around your land, man. Just
Yeah.
along every fence line, just start planting blackberries. Start your own with
Yeah.
seeds and start them and plant them.
Across the street used to be a nursery. So they got a whole, and it's shut down now. There's no nursery there, but there's a lot of plants that are still there. So like they
Awesome.
had, dude, I'm talking bushes that are like bigger than my truck that were blackberries. I was like, oh my God, dude.
So you know the owners pretty well?
I'm the only one. There's only me and one other person that hunts it. Yep.
Oh, well, and they don't mind you helping yourself to the grapes?
They don't even care. The grapes are on my property.
Oh,
grapes are
well,
mine.
that's
But like
awesome.
the berries, they don't care. They don't do anything with the property.
Well, that's great.
I've planted so many different berries up on the hillside where I hunt. I got more fucking deer that I can shoot that are eating all my berries.
That's
I
good.
mean,
Well, I didn't have no grapes to eat them all.
That way next year you want to spend $800 in corn and just get the deer.
Well, I had to this year. I mean, yeah.
Well, people
was
don't
over
understand.
$800
Hunting in
I
Eastern
spent.
Kentucky is not easy. There's not a lot of deer there. They get poached and
Really?
there's a lot of wild dogs and it's pretty rough, steep terrain. So,
Yeah,
it's a challenge to deer hunt in Eastern
I
Kentucky.
spent
It's a
over
little easy.
$800 on corn.
Yeah,
this year.
in Central Kentucky, where there's more farms and open land, it's a lot easier to deer hunt here than
Listen, I can
Pike
see
County.
my house. I can see my front porch from my deer stand.
Yeah. Pike County is a pretty tough
Well,
place
that's
to hunt.
pretty-
I
pretty
will
big
give
area,
Roger
though.
that. I like to kid him about all
Yeah.
that. But
That way, if I
it's
fall out
tough.
of the tree, my wife can come and get me.
Yeah. Well, what I do is I drive my four-wheeler up to my ground line. I get off and I crawl right in. I mean, I'm right next to my house.
Yeah, plums
Me too.
definitely. I make plum wine and I also make a slivovich. I know I'm butchering that pronunciation, but slivovich. How do you pronounce that? I'm sure somebody
Say
can
that.
help me.
Say
Hopefully.
it 5 more times and hold
Can
your
you,
tongue.
can you
I
spell
mean,
it?
you have
I
to
don't
be
know.
about half drunk for that to roll off your tongue properly, I think.
I think if you
It's,
say it fast and
Slivovich.
quickly, no one will count it.
Yeah, it'll be just flow right through. Nobody will
Yeah.
swivel that.
Slivovich, yeah. Slivovich. But it's Poland, I guess, Ukraine, a lot in
Right,
that
Katy?
area, Eastern Bloc area. They make a lot of slivovich with plums. That's a big thing there. Slovenia, a lot of those countries. Yeah, they do a lot of that.
So yes, peach, please, love peach. So yeah, okay.
Uh-oh.
I made peaches last year. I did 150. I picked 155 freaking pounds of peaches with my uncle in one day, and I was like, dude, I don't ever want to pick peaches again.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm about to
that.
experiment with that.
Kids involved in that, especially when it's a lot of bending over and picking up, all day bending
Well,
over.
we
You
had
don't realize-
scaffolding in the yard. We's up into the scaffolding. I backed my truck up. I put the scaffolding in the back of the truck. So we get on top. Dude, we were just picking.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's definitely the way to do it.
I'm about to experiment with peach pits, so I will keep you posted on that.
Oh.
I'm going to try to do something kind of like an amaretto, but with peach pits and see. I'm curious because I already know the tannin situation and the pectin with peaches, but I've never used pits for aging. So I'm going to play around with that and see what that does.
Oh, you're gonna age with
I don't
the
have to
pits.
pick them. I don't have to harvest them, so like all the hard work's done.
I'll tell you another fruit that a lot of people don't use that should see a lot more of: mangoes. I know they're a little bit expensive, but they do really well and they carry over really well.
Well, I'm surprised they're not doing like you hear a lot more like hot mango.
Right, habanero mango. Yeah, it's awesome. That's one of the big things these days.
Just think of like do like a moonshine, but like a wing flavored, like because I mean that's really what they're doing.
My favorite flavor.
Yeah, the mango habanero is.
But honestly,
awesome.
like if I could get in contact with Richard because he's in Louisiana, I really want to get with him because I feel like we both play around with like a lot of savory styles. Especially with like the shochu and things like that.
He makes a lot of culinary. Yeah, he's the culinary.
And that's more my jam. So I definitely I'm like, but I feel like Richard would be the exact person I'd want to do like a mango habanero.
Yeah, like this last episode, I think he's talking about his silk hat. I'd fit that on to.
I think he's doing a lot of my favorites. Man. Richard Landry is extremely smart.
I met Richard and Craig at Maggie. Yeah, they're awesome people. Yeah.
Yeah, this whole community is great, dude. Like it's a great thing.
What was it this last week with the little cakes that he mixed?
Oh, dude,
fried pastries that he added to.
They're from fucking Louisiana. They fry them or whatever.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm not from there. I was not familiar with the coffee and crumpet, whatever. I guess I'm gonna call it a Cajun crumpet. That's what it is.
The vignettes, but it's like with the powdered sugar on top.
Yeah, what's it called?
Pastry.
I'm gonna call it Cajun crumpet.
Yes, beignets. Yes, because I kept thinking he was saying beignet.
What was it? Beignet.
Yep, beignet.
All right.
Yep, dude, he had them in a big box, and he just dumped a whole thing of sugar on there. He was like. I was like, dude, that's what's up right there. That
Roger, we can't see. Can we hear you?
I was like, man, I've never had one.
I'm going to have to head out of here somewhat shortly. I have all the alcohol in my car and my keys, and the house is starting to fill up. So I need to get tequila shots to the people eventually.
Okay.
What you doing?
I showed up immediately.
So you got a party going on tonight?
All my friends are coming in from Asheville, Maggie Valley area for the weekend. I haven't seen them since pre-hurricane because I moved 2 weeks before the hurricane. Right. So I have not seen any of them since then.
So you guys gonna watch the game tonight?
Absolutely not. They watched it last night. I want to turn my brain off and not answer questions. I want to drink some tequila. So.
I mean, they must have sent you some really bad shit online.
We can.
Oh no! Everybody was fine. I just I've had a lot of really supportive friends, and everybody watched it last night. But I also I need some time with my people, and I want to focus on being present. So yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Hey, you got your priorities right, girl. That's all that matters.
Yep. That's awesome. Definitely cool. And hopefully they can tune in and watch this and laugh with you.
Yeah, I had a joke. I said, take a shot every time you see me flare my nose, but I think it was pretty good. I don't think I had many.
You do that a lot. I haven't noticed.
All I wish is we should have gave him that picture. Your little raccoon.
It's something that naturally, I think that's why when I talked about before, I don't like watching myself back. Doing theater my whole life and having to watch a lot of stuff that got filmed, there's certain facial expressions that I do with my muscles that I don't even notice that I do. And I used to get teased as a kid for that, bullied pretty heavily for doing that. So I'm always really self-conscious about it. And I was curious how
I didn't
how many times it happened on TV.
But you know what? We're them people now. Look at you. You know what I'm saying? You're here.
It's quirky, but you could make a drinking game out of it. I don't remember what happened a lot.
Yeah, we all have our little funny idiocracies.
That's it, man.
And we look at ourselves differently than other people look at us. We're a lot more critical, about ourselves than other people are, and seeing things that other people don't, so.
Hey, you could have been worse. It could have been worse.
Yeah, we're all just more self-critical. We're all more self-critical. But all that to be said, I know I'm going to have to step out. I just want to say thank you to you guys for having me. Thank you for the community for involving me. I just want to continue to like be able to have these conversations and learn from others,
Absolutely.
because I think that that's like the beauty of all of this is we never, as long as we're teachable and we're willing to have these conversations, there's so much to learn. And Jason really and Nate both gave me the ability to have those conversations, and with absolute respect. And I don't know where you're at on your screen, but Jason's here. Absolutely deserved, and I'm so proud of you, and I'm so excited to see what you do and where you go from this. And don't forget about me. We have moonshine soon, so I'll come.
Whatever,
out
don't
there.
forget about you.
Like I was saying earlier, you know, after the season's over, we're going to have reunions, and also in the off season, we do Shine Talks and Shots question and answers. And we'd love to have you guys on to help us answer questions and to continue these discussions and talk, you know, and field questions from the group. Love to have you guys back and to help us do that. It would be awesome and an honor. So that's something we can look forward to in the off season for sure.
Make sure you keep putting it in their ear about you know, another episode.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm bugging them because I'm eager to get back. I'm like, give me that redemption episode. Like, you will see more of me if I have a say.
Tell you this, I wouldn't want to go against you again. I know that, because you're going to come back like fired the fuck up, and you're going to kick ass and take names. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it's going to be.
All I have to say to end that is, at the end of the day, you say that like you gave us kudos and said that we're more qualified, and I absolutely disagree with you on that. And I hope that you continue to, like we've said before, like you were on the same playing field as the rest of us, and do not discredit yourself, and do not let anybody tell you that you are any different. You absolutely deserve to win, and you deserve to also remind yourself that you are worthy and you're qualified to do the things that you're doing.
Absolutely.
And so you're going to be so successful. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Man, you stepped up and you did everything the right way. You did it professionally. You experimented with something just like everybody else had, that never dealt with. You used the experience that you've got up to this point to help pull you through. And, you know, you did a great job. Absolutely.
It's tough. Thank you. I appreciate it.
We mean it.
It's tough.
Remind yourself, look in the mirror. You deserve it.
Yeah, you definitely do. You know,
I gave it hell. That's all I could do. I gave it my best.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm going to need you to come here. All that to be said, I need some taste testers for this new project I'm helping consult for. So me, come down. It's going to get weird. You can talk about experimentation. I need opinions, and I need you. I want you to come check it out. So we'll chat more. Yeah, I'm not big on Facebook, guys, so if you try to message me, I probably won't see it. If you have Instagram, that's the best filter. I'll get the boys the information, but that's where I'm the most active. But yeah, so I will talk to you guys soon.
All right. Well,
bye, Katy.
One more shot.
All right. Yeah, one more shot before you go. And I'll try to get your Instagram. And I've got an old one set up. I'm not used it in a long time. I was looking the other day for my old. I've had one that was almost from the very beginning of Instagram, and I can't find it. So I guess I'll have to start a new one. But I'll add you up on there.
Personally, just because it's you, I'll go ahead. I just don't add people to my Facebook if I don't know them.
Absolutely.
Like but we'll link up. I'll keep in touch with you on Facebook because I already have it.
Yeah.
Sorry if that's, but it just. Too much information. I have an ex-military spouse, so I'm very paranoid about sharing too much information with a ton of people. But my Instagram is free game. I'm a pretty private person, but I like pictures, so that works out better for me.
Yeah, I do too.
So are you like a picture? Like if somebody gave you instructions, you'd do better if you had pictures.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Actually, I learned by doing, but I do like a good pic. I'll spend extra money for a picture book, for an adult picture book.
Upgraded pictures.
I like the cookbooks that have a photo, so I get a little more excited about the recipe.
That's the ADD in us. Yeah.
Yep. Cheers to that.
All right. Yeah. Cheers.
Enough attention span to run a still. That's why it takes so long.
That's all that matters. Hey, that takes a lot, I guess. I don't know.
But we'll definitely stay in touch and let you know, and also send me a message and let me know who all was with you guys, because I want to kind of plan these reunion parties and get up with everybody that was filming with you not just your episode, but that was filming other episodes that you've befriended and connected with, so we can get everybody together and kind of do a reunion thing. And definitely want to get you guys back for the Q&A thing that we do off season.
Awesome, man. Appreciate it.
It'll be a lot of fun. Look forward to seeing you guys back on here again soon. I guess the season, how many episodes are we going to have? Anybody know how many?
Maybe a couple more, not much more. We're towards the end for sure.
Yeah.
I want to say there's
April
like 2 blocks, they said. So like 6 and 6, I think there was 2, yeah. Because
so that's interesting because I got a message while we were on here. My friend was like, Katy, HBO has it, which means that it had to have been they don't release until the whole season. So we might have been the last episode then for the season. Actually, I'll just go look.
No, I think Daniel.
No, because Daniel Stevens
on yet. Daniel is supposed to be on this season.
There's
but
a vodka
that
one
may
too.
change. You know, you never know with them. You know, it could change. But
yeah, sometimes they don't end up airing some of them for whatever reason. So let me look really quick. While my attention span exists.
Yeah, mine's pretty short as well.
Yeah, they put our season on, so now it's free on HBO Max versus having to rent it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, cool. Well, too bad I paid for the whole season. That's okay.
It'd be my luck.
It's on there. Anyway, pleasure, guys.
Awesome.
I know
Maybe they're having like a mid-season break, and they'll do like 6 more episodes. You know.
See, that's what I thought. That's what I said. We were maybe like the mid-season finale.
Right? Could be, and then yeah. I
They
guess we
filmed
can
a lot
look
more
and see.
episodes this season,
We
too.
can look at past seasons and see how many episodes they have, and kind of go off that too. I guess, but okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you need to get in there and see your friends and have fun. Thanks for being
Yeah,
on.
I'm happy to make this work.
Both of you guys, and jump in group, you know, with us and stay in touch. I'll definitely stay in touch on Facebook. Drop a note every once in a while. Check on y'all. And look forward to seeing you guys again soon. And thanks everybody for tuning in and listening. We'll probably maybe come back on a little bit later tonight with a Q&A if anybody wants to tune back in and listen to that. Probably be a different link and stuff that we sent out, but we may do a little something 8 or 9 o'clock this evening and do a little Q&A, because we usually start at 8 and a lot of people won't be expecting us to even be on, and they can watch this. You know, it's pre-recorded now, so they can watch this later and join us on our Q&A maybe later on tonight. But y'all take care. It's great having you guys on.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
If y'all ever have questions, y'all know where to find me, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Yeah.
Heavy metal, baby.
See y'all.
Bye.
Guys.